What is going on, everybody, to a late Monday night Victory Monday with me and my man Tony. We're going to talk about the game last night. We'll talk about some injuries that are creeping up on the 49ers. Yes, people, we won and we brought somebody back. So that means there's more injuries to talk about. We'll talk about coaching. We'll talk about the importance of Kittle, who contributed to the win last night. It was a game that I didn't think we would win, personally, Tony.
Mhm.
I thought that their skill position players and our banged up defense and their defense alone, like their pass rush would really give us a ton of problems, and the running game on offense would give us a ton of problems. And bro, I don't know how it happened, but the Niners are 5-2, and they literally have three-quarters of their team on the injury list. How you feeling about last night's game, man?
I like it. On the other hand, I thought they were going to win because I thought it was a matchup made in heaven for them. A team with, a very aggressive defensive front, blitzing and stuff like that with Ulbrich and Atlanta. What's the best recipe for that? You run the ball. Who do they get back this week? George Kittle. And
Yep.
is it a coincidence that this run game took off like a bat out of hell? So
Amazing.
I liked the matchup. I like what I saw. They executed at a very high level. McCaffrey looked like the McCaffrey of old. I mean, I think like production wise,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. But yeah, I think the offensive line had a hell of a game. We'll get into that as well. There's a ton of positives with this team, but there are negatives, and the negatives are starting to catch. So
It's funny, man. Like I was watching a game last night. Again, I always watch my games on mute because I hate the commentary. And man, I didn't expect the Niners defense to be able to hold up against these guys just based on what they did to Buffalo. Now, okay, Buffalo's got a pretty bad D. But Buffalo also has Josh Allen, right? And Josh Allen's
yeah,
like a human joystick. He can do anything. He's like he's like an amazing like top three quarterback in the National Football League, like elite of the elite, right? And they frustrated him, and I'm thinking, oh God, poor Mac. He's gonna have a hard time because Mac can't move. Okay, we talked about this last week. Me and one of the guys who was I streaming with last week, Andre from Dre Air Sports, and somebody made in the comments that Dre or Mac only works good when everything is on time and everything is working on time. But if you put any pressure on him, blah 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 blah. And to an extent, that's kind of true. He craters a lot when he's in the pocket, but interestingly enough, the 49ers offensive line, other than early in the game, played reasonably well when they needed to,
yeah,
especially in the run game. Uh, I'll bring up the statistics from yesterday. CMC, 114 yards rushing, two touchdowns, 7 catches for 72 yards. He was the 49ers' lifeblood. He was their offense. This guy, if you want to talk about a guy that we got to put on bubble wrap and on the ice after every game, it's this guy. Wow. He looked like the old Christian McCaffrey yesterday. And there's a lot of people, especially people who are from a pretty popular clique on YouTube, that were talking in the offseason about how he had lost his step. And then another person from that said group doubled down and said, yeah, you'll wait and see. He has no fifth gear, all that trash, right? And it kind of looked like that. But a lot of people were saying it was the blocking. It was the blocking. It was the blocking. I'm telling you, the 49ers, they get Kittle back and the blocking gets better. They can all of a sudden, start running the ball. And sure enough, yesterday, Kittle comes back, right? And automatically the blocking becomes better, especially when you have to block down with the tight end. He is unbelievable, right? Compared to Farrell and his PFF grades, just how bad he is blocking. And then, sure enough, Hennessy comes in at center after Brendel gets hurt and looks better than he ever has, Brendel ever has, and the running game just takes off. I was pleasantly shocked that that running game looked as good as it did. He looked like the old Christian McCaffrey from 2023. Yes, Atlanta has a really bad rush defense, so there was that too. So I don't know what combination of what it was yesterday, but it was good enough to get the 49ers a victory, winning 20-10 and going to 5-2.
yeah. I feel I feel, how do I say this? Give me a second, let me think. Okay. This offensive line is not an offensive line that was built or it's not invested in to be the type of offensive line that you could drop back 30, 40 times and throw the ball around with no issue. It's not. This is a system offensive line that's based off of the run game, which sets up the play action pass, which makes it in return a lot easier for the offensive line to do their job. So basically, all I'm saying is due to the fact that they were not one-dimensional, you saw the offensive line play as a unit take that step forward and show like, wow, all right, we got something here. Are they gelling? Are they starting to click? Are they starting to play together? Those are things that, like, people, I'm sure, are running through their heads. But I think it's more of the notion that Kittle's back, the play action pass is back because the run game is taking off. If they're executing the play action pass or even the check downs, that's going to keep the offense, the defensive line off back. What the hell just happened? What I lost you? Where did you go?
I'm here.
I don't know where the hell you went. Oh, there you are. It's gonna keep them. It's gonna keep the defensive line off balanced.
Yep.
So with that being said, you saw, because of the run game, the difference in the production of the offensive line.
I felt that Kittle's presence was also helpful, especially when you look at the play that led to the second Christian McCaffrey touchdown. He was able to look off Kittle and make that play to Christian McCaffrey, which eventually led to the touchdown. He will be back, guys, and I thought that was super important to having him back in the pass game. I thought the 49ers missed Kittle's ability in the run and pass game, and it was nothing more apparent than last night on that play. I thought the Niners offensive line kind of settled into a groove into that game in the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, especially with the run game. And I do think, like Tony says, it is definitely a schematic thing with the 49ers. I think the Niners don't really care about who exactly is their offensive lineman as long as they can fit their scheme. They are very scheme specific. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the offensive line from the 80s and 90s, where a lot of them were undersized and a lot of them were more scheme specific. So that you definitely hit the nail on the head with that, with the 49ers offensive line. I feel like they're scheme specific guys. I mean, if you looked at the 80s offensive line with Wallace and Harris Barton and Jesse Sapolo, their line was pretty undersized. But they worked well for that particular scheme. And I think that this Niners offensive line works well for their particular scheme as well. So really happy with Christian McCaffrey yesterday. Passing game is still rough. Niners just can't get it going in the passing game on a consistent basis. I don't know, Tony, if it has to do it a lot with just people being in and out of the lineup, not having a true number one. I feel like Pearsall, when he played, was the Niners' true number one. And I feel like the Niners are hodgepodge into that wide receiver. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a whole other issue. The wide receiver group, they keep rotating in and out. I mean, a guy that I would love to give a shout out. I mean, I was very pissed yesterday that Watkins was not dressed, the rookie.
So was I.
Ole Miss, but yeah. I understand why, because it's the special teams value. And I swear to God, Malik Turner balled his ass off yesterday. All right, he didn't maybe produce a lot as a wide receiver, but special teams, he made 3 massive tackles downfield, like preventing big returns.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why he got the nod over Watkins. Also, take into consideration with their game plan going into that game, it was the right way to go and the right thing to do.
Tell you what, Larry Krueger made a good point about saying that the 49ers offense lacks speed, and I do see that. They are very constricted in what they do. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people are calling for Watkins, including myself. I was pretty pissed off that he wasn't dressed for the game. But man, their special teams, even with their new special teams coordinator, what is his name? Brent Boyer? Is that the right name I'm thinking of?
Brant. It's Brant Boyer. B-R-A.
Brent Boyer? Yeah,
B-R-A-N-T.
he he said all the right things in the offseason, and then they preached a lot of this stuff, but they've been still kind of suspect this year. I mean, De Niro has been money, or Pinero, excuse me, not De Niro. He's been money, so that part of the special teams. But last night, other than that one return that got them to midfield, I thought that their special teams played really well. So, man, I think we don't really understand how important it is to when you're lower on the depth chart, how important special teams really is, and how if you can play special teams, you just have more value on a roster than a guy that can just run go patterns. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing.
100%. But I also think a big factor that you're leaving out is look who the defensive star of the game was, right? I think it's safe to say Tatum Bethune. Tatum Bethune was removed from special teams because now he is the Mike linebacker.
Yep.
So the more and more these injuries keep mounting, the more and more you're taking away from special teams. Because guys that were slated and penciled in the beginning of the season, pre-injury, that were to have significant roles or be key contributors to the special teams are now the opposite. They're not special teams. They're key contributors to the offense and defense, respectively.
Yep.
So they can't play special teams. So now it's relinquished the people that weren't even part of the game plan. Or even
do you feel that the constant injuries and having to constantly readjust the roster has affected special teams?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. It's in my opinion, 100%.
I'm trying to think of what else I really liked about I was saying, Kittle's presence yesterday on that the touchdown, the drive before the touchdown that sealed the game. His presence allowed Christian McCaffrey to do what he did on that play. So even in the pass game, Kittle has an ability to draw coverage away and allowed McCaffrey to do what he did. McCaffrey was amazing yesterday. I want to switch to the defense and talk about some guys on defense that stood out yesterday. Bryce Huff, of course. I think did he have 1 or 2 sacks yesterday? I can't remember.
I think he had 1. It should have been 2 with the fumble, but they didn't credit him like a strip sack.
Right.
For some reason. I don't know, but he definitely had 1.
So Bryce was amazing last night, and we'll talk about his injury in a second. Then, of course, Chase Lucas playing the slot with the big pass breakup at the end of the game. Huge. I mean, huge. I mean, it went through his hands. It could have been caught, but it wasn't. It didn't happen.
Sure.
I thought Alfred Collins played pretty damn good yesterday. He was in on a lot of those pressures. Like anytime I saw pressure on the field, his big ass was right up in there, which is weird because I thought CJ West was going to be the guy based on how he looked in the preseason. And you really haven't heard much about CJ West, and you're hearing more about Alfred Collins. So kind of crazy. And then, like you said, Tatum Bethune, I thought he played extremely well yesterday. He didn't make – here's – how do people know when someone else is playing usually, Tony, is when you make mistakes. That's when you could tell the difference. Like, oh, Bethune was in there. That's why such and such happened. I thought Bethune played amazing as well. Nothing out of this world or anything like that. But the defense looked like, for the most part in the game, that they were where they needed to be. They were lined up. No more 10 men on the field, any of that stuff. So I thought they looked good. Got to go over to the injury report here. It's not really an injury report. It's more of like an injury. I don't even know what you want to call it. It's just pissing me off to no end. Let me bring this up here. Got to zoom in a little bit.
Never-ending list.
So we had Trey in the comments say Bryce Huff fell victim to the injury gods. We talk about this all the time. And that every time we gain somebody back, we lose 2, 3, 4 players. And people are like, oh, Aaron, you're such an over-dramatic person. I'm like, no, I'm not really. Sure enough, Renardo Green left the game yesterday, didn't return. Thought he had turf toe. Does not have turf toe. He's day-to-day, which is awesome. Brendel Addition by subtraction, possibly, Tony, him not being in the lineup. But the loss of Bryce Huff, having a hamstring injury, going to miss a couple of weeks is huge. It's like every time they make headway with somebody and they start, playing well, they get injured. I want to revisit this injury conversation with you, man. Like, how do you feel about can you keep saying to yourself, and I don't know if you do say this to yourself, that injuries are just part of football? Or do you think that the Niners have a fundamental issue? Like, where do you lie on this? Is it some gray area somewhere in the middle? I mean, like, because this is just ridiculous. I mean, either teams have injuries this year, yes. But this is getting to a point now where it's like every time you play a game, you lose 3-4 guys.
Yeah, all right. So the soft tissue injuries are the ones that are concerning as far as the training department and the staff, the sports performance staff that they hired. That's concerning. Guys like, Bosa with the torn ACL.
Yeah.
That's just a freak thing. You cannot be mad at them for that. I mean, Bosa keeps his body. He's in phenomenal shape. Like the incident with Fred Warner, that's an issue that it has nothing to do with the training staff or anything like that.
Agreed.
But when you have guys that have continuously calves, quads, hammies, hip flexors, like shit like that, and they're becoming repetitive and they're just not going away, that's a cause for concern. It sucks. Maybe these guys are overtraining. Maybe they're undertraining. Maybe they're doing too much of this and not enough of that. Like, so you could Monday morning quarterback and tear it apart, put your comments into it and try to figure it out yourself. And we could all be wrong. But it's clearly happening a lot to the 49ers and some other teams around the league. But I don't know, man. It's got to stop because this team single-handedly being killed just due to injuries. Just injuries alone. It's not just like a one-time thing. This has been like history with the 49ers. So, I mean, it is what it is, but I think
it's funny because like we win with. I'm not saying professional players are scrubs. I'm just saying you win with scrubs a while. We've been doing it this year. We've been winning with bottom of the roster guys. And it's all great. It's a great story. It's awesome. It is a reflection of coaching, which we will get to. But it has to end eventually, right? Like we can't just keep rolling out, guys from the practice squad and suit them up for Sunday. I mean, eventually it's got to catch up with us. It has to, right? People here. I talked about this last week with you, and here's the thing that bothers me. When people police me, when I talk about the injuries, a lot of people get really I'm anti-49er, the way I kind of shit on the team with injuries and stuff, and I talk about it all the time. And I guess what I'm saying, my biggest issue is just like, is John Lynch and Kyle looking at this and saying, okay, this we can't control. This happened to Bosa, whatever. This happened to Fred, whatever. But like the litany of people all on the injury report for the same type of things, there has to be a cause for concern. I mean, they can't just be like, oh, that's just the rigors of the game. That's just how it works out. It just drives me insane. Like, I would love to know and be a fly on the wall to know exactly. Because I just get to the point now where I've been so mad about it and I've been so adamant about them like really needing to like take a serious look at things, at least after the season. And I've had so many people attack me trying to tell me like there's no magic fix. It's not like they can eat differently. It's not like they can exercise differently. It just kind of happens. And I don't want to resign to that fact. I'm sorry. I can't think about things just happening all the time. There's too much. There's too many players and it's too many of the same type of injuries. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand. You know what it is? It's frustrating, right? Because you see how good this team is right now and how good they're competing and playing and performing. And you're saying to yourself, why can't we be healthy? And because if we were healthy, we'd be almost unstoppable. Like, why? And it's frustrating, that aspect of the game. But I'm telling you now, there's something with this team. And I'm going to say stuff because people call me out. Oh, you love Kyle. You're this, you're that. You're a homer. No, I just tell you how I see it. I played the game, I coached the game, and there's something special with this team. The culture that they built in that building, it's on full display. Like these people, you got guys coming in, like Malik Turner came in literally off the street and bust his ass this game.
Yep.
Right? I understand he's trying to get a spot on the roster and be locked into an official 53, 100%. But these guys are coming in and just the next man up notion. It I don't want to say it, but it's going strong. It's going strong, and people like when with nothing but Niners when we do our draft stuff like that. And I remember when they picked Tatum Bethune in the final round with their final pick. And I remember, I don't think it was Mike. I think it was somebody who was on live with us. Oh, that guy's a bum. Who is he? Blah, blah, blah. No, the dude's not a bum. The dude's a football player. Like, is he the fastest? Did he time the fastest? No. But I guarantee you, and I said this live on TV because I'm a Florida State fan. Unfortunately, I hate Mike Norvell. I think he should be fired, but whatever. I'm a Florida State fan, and I remember watching Tatum Bethune. And the one thing that stood out play after play after play was he never got fooled, and he was consistently by the ball. I will tell you that. And to find that type of football player, even though he timed the 4.6, a high 4.6 in the 40s, whatever, at the combine, but you put a GPS on him, it's not a 4.6 speed. It's faster.
Mm-hmm.
The kid moves. He's not a good timed runner, but the kid moves.
Jerry Rice wasn't a good time runner.
And
Doesn't matter.
He's an instinctive player. He's a student of the game. All right. Fred Warner went down. He finished that game with 10-plus tackles. His first NFL start, 10-plus tackles. The guy's a good ball player. And I think people need to stop with this notion, and I'm not saying you, but like, oh, they're bums, they're this, they're that. How could they compete? No. These guys are a part of a program that it's continuous. Next man up, and let's keep it going, right? They penciled in Ben Barch as the starting left guard. Guess who's the starting left guard? A 7th-round pick, Connor Colby. And guess what he's doing? He's developing on the field with live action versus live bullets.
It's the only way you can.
And that's it. And that's a major plus for this team to stay at a 5-2 record, right? Stay 5-2 and still be in playoff contention and still develop people that were in question of even making your roster. But you saw potential in them, and this is a golden opportunity to develop your young, talented back end of the draft class.
This was going to be a draft and develop year anyways. I thought, way we drafted and that we had to develop. I think
there was no way I'm going to sit here and have that. I'm not saying this directly at you. There's no way, because there are content creators out there, and I think we're on the same page with the individuals. There's no way that you're not going to tell me that this team is not going to be a competitive and successful team, A, versus this schedule, B, with that locker room, and C, with that coaching staff.
I agree with you on every front. I personally lose faith watching games. I feel like my in-game experience, I don't react the same way I do once I look at things after the game. I think I'm more of an emotional fan. So when I'm watching a game and injuries are happening, I'm getting really pissed off, or I'll say things like, hey, they just don't have the talent on the defensive line. This happens all the time with me, right? Or they don't have the talent on the offensive line, and it just, that's just the way that it is. And I say all these like blanket statements, and then through the course of every single freaking game, something happens with all those people that I don't have a lot of belief in. Not because I don't think they're good players. I just feel like from where we've been talent-wise since 2019 to now, I feel like talent-wise on the team, we have taken a massive hit. I feel like we're not as talented as a team, from top to bottom. I feel like we were a lot deeper. We were a lot more talented. Although a lot of those players that we had were very injury prone. So like the whole thing with the youth and stuff, like we talked about it. I talked about it all off season with different guys that I stream with about like, they're going to play, they're going to develop, they're going to make mistakes. But then when the mistakes happen in games and you have to see the development, it's like some of us, like myself, are not as patient. But I'm learning watching another team, like my team, who has the opposite culture, and that's the Miami Dolphins. My brother's a huge Dolphins fan, right? And he said to me, he goes, the difference between my team and your team with injuries and whatever is going on is your coaching and your culture. That's the whole difference. 100%. That's why everybody buys in on this team. The way that these guys acted when Fred Warner got hurt, Bethune wearing the jersey, these players, these guys, like, dude, one of the biggest reasons why the 49ers during the 80s and 90s was so good is they were close. They were a close team, like off the field. They went on vacations together. Eddie loved, some of them. If you were Eddie's guys, and Joe was one of them, Jerry was one of them. Like if you were good and performed, you were one of Eddie's guys. But the point of it being is they were pretty close. And when you're close off the field and you're close on the field, it just makes for it. It's like working at a job where with somebody you hate versus somebody that you love having. You have a better shift. Everything goes well. You usually end up helping that person. They end up helping you because maybe they get their work done faster. Like I've had that situation where I've worked with people who were absolutely horrible and were cancers to the workplace. And then I worked with coworkers that were just an absolute joy to be around. I feel like the Niners coaching staff and the culture that they build, it's like no matter who comes through the door, they all fall in line to the same coaching and they all fall in line with how things are done here. That's why the Devondre Campbell thing last year was so crazy. Like it was such an out of left field thing to happen because nobody on this squad, no matter where they come from, and a lot of guys who don't, a lot of people that don't fall in line end up leaving this team rather quickly. Yeah. One of the talks that they were talking about when we had Chase Young on the team, right? And Chase Young was loafing in the NFC Championship game. They're like, Niners like certain players based on who they are and that they identify them to be a good culture fit. And Kruger was talking about how Chase Young was a bad culture fit. Devondre Campbell was a bad culture fit. Hendrickson, we're not going to get him, people, so you can just forget it. Hendrickson, he was talking about if anyone was a good fit would be him. And it's just the fact that he buys in and he does whatever it takes. He's a down in, down out player. And that's something that the 49ers look very strongly at, whether it's against the run, against the pass, or whatever. So the reason I think they're doing as well as they are with the level of talent that they're missing is 100% culture and coaching. I want to actually play a video. This was from the game after the game yesterday, and they were talking about the coaching on the 49ers. And why the Niners coaching is pretty much the reason. I got to pause it and play it. Hold on. All right. There we go. Hold on a sec. Sorry. Oops. Hold on a second, guys. Thanks.
Robert Saleh said we're going to speed Michael Penix up. We're going to hit him and force him to make inerrant passes. And what you didn't see is that it affected the way he was throwing the football at the times he wasn't hitting.
I love the fact that you bring up Robert Saleh. Because of that time with the Jets, we forgot how great of a defensive mind he truly was. And when you lose a guy like Fred Warner, I made the joke on the bus that I would have been like, we can't win no way. We ain't got Fred Warner. We can't stop nobody. But when you watch this team, he didn't become vanilla because he was playing with Tatum Bethune, and also playing with Chase Lucas at the slot. He continued to pressure. He continued to give a variety of looks, and I felt like he stymied Michael Penix Jr. the entire night. Robert Saleh, week after week after week, has been progressing with this defense. They're starting to make more plays, starting to put more pressure on the quarterback. And when you can rebound from, in my opinion, losing one of the best players in the league, no doubt in any position, I think that says a lot about the way that you're preparing your team to execute.
Robert Saleh.
100%. I can't disagree with that at all. I think that coaching and the way that they develop these guys is just second to none. It's like I said, it's a huge juxtaposition when you look at someone like the Miami Dolphins and just how poorly they're ran. Like I don't know if you saw the quote today. I think it was from the owner saying like they still want to run with who they're running with, and until the fans turn their back on them or something. It was some statement, and it was like that's already happened. Those things are already going on. I think the 49ers, as long as they have Kyle and John, man, they're always going to have a chance regardless of who's on their roster or who's not on their roster. But that was a total coaching game yesterday. It was an amazing performance. I feel lucky. I feel like I need to appreciate things more when I watch games, because I think sometimes I get myself a little bit too emotional on the down in, down out basis instead of kind of enjoying it. I always, after the fact, feel better about the team when I watch games than when, or after I watch games than when I'm actually in the middle of it. I don't know why that is. I just overreact and panic and flip out and get pissed off. But I was wrong. I thought we were going to lose. I think my co-host that I had on last Friday, me and Dre, he thought the Niners were going to win. So I don't know. I took the L. I took the eating crow this week, and I'm okay with it. One of the other things that I wanted to bring to your attention was the talk of them making a trade before the trade deadline. The talk going around right now, at least from guys like, because I caught the live interview with Matt Mayoka on, I think it was KNBR. And he talked about how they're not going to do anything when it comes to signing players or trading for players that's going to affect resources in the future. Like it would have to be a move that made sense not only for this year or next year. One, do you see them making a move? And if you do, are we talking like, I'm trying to think of a player comp. I'm trying to think of this player in the past. I can't think of a player right now, but like I'll give you the list here on X. This is kind of who they're going with here. This is some of the players that they've brought in. People have thought about the 49ers. Jordan Schultz. Where is he? Go here. Says that the Dolphins are sitting at 1-6. Teams around the league are keeping a close eye on their pass rushers ahead of the trade deadline, including Bradley Chubb, no guaranteed money after this season, Jalen Phillips in the final year of his contract, and Matthew Judon, a surprise healthy and active for Sunday's game. Anybody in this list interest you? Are you more of in the Jermaine Johnson from the Jets camp? Maybe more of a solid guy? Any thoughts on any edge player that you think the Niners will make a move, or will they even make a move?
They have to do something. They got it. I think they're going to have to bring in 2 defensive ends. They're going to have to sign a free agent, maybe pluck somebody off of a practice squad and trade for somebody. They need this team feels that they can win and they can compete for a playoff push, and you're not going to do it. Talent, coaching and talent and just playing hard football is going to get you to a point. But in the playoffs, it's different, right? Now, and the positive side of this is all these guys are doing are getting better and getting more experience, right? So in my eyes, potentially in 2026, this defense could be sick. This defense could be insane.
Yeah,
with
and
the experience that they got this year and getting all the pieces back. So that's something to be looking forward to. But I can see them going like I like Bradley Chubb. I don't think Bradley Chubb's explosive enough
No.
to be that, fly off the edge. I like Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins, but he's an explosive freak, and he actually has the highest win percentage out of a pass rush out of all of them. But you're taking a major risk with the injuries, a major risk. Someone who I think that they might, honestly, I can see them trying to get a Will McDonald, because I think Will McDonald could be had for nothing right now because he doesn't even play. Like, I watched the Jets purposely this week to see if he even got in. He got in maybe like a handful of times, and that was it. It's all Jermaine Johnson. It's Clemens. Clemens was buried on the depth chart when Salah was there. Now Clemens is ahead of McDonald on this depth chart. So I think the Niners could steal McDonald from the Jets, and then go out and sign like a Cleveland Farrell who's floating around as an undrafted free agent today. Pair those two up as the defensive ends and add them to the notion. And now, once you get Huff back, right? Because McDonald will replace the speed off the edge with Huff. So now when you go into your base, you'll have Cleveland Farrell with Mingia, Mikel Williams. Yeah. And then you could sprinkle in Gibson, who they put onto the active 53 now. Then you have McDonald, and then you'll have Cleveland Farrell. I think between the four of those guys, you could have a pretty solid rotation, and it'll keep the ability of sliding Mikel Williams inside on third downs with Farrell, with McDonald and Huff when he comes back from injury, pinning their ears back, flying up the field on the edge. So I don't think, if it was up to me, your number one target is the guy from Hendrickson from Cincinnati. That's your hands down guy. That's the top prize. I think the notion of getting McDonald to be a speed guy to help replace Huff right now, and then add in the Cleveland Farrell to what we currently have. Don't forget, you're going to get Gross Matos back. So there's pieces in-house, and it's the same notion of not overpaying for someone on an expiring deal.
Yeah, I'm big on. I'm torn because most Niner fans don't think that Hendrickson is a possibility just because of what they'd have to pay draft-wise in order to get him, and then what you'd have to pay if you ever wanted to extend him. Those two things are not compatible with the Niners' current business model. I want the sexy move. 49er fans in general want the sexy move. We all do. But I just don't see it. I would be okay with what you said, like maybe a mix of two, wherever that may be from. Whether one's an undrafted free agent just sitting out there, or a mix of a guy like maybe Jermaine Johnson from the Jets.
See, here's my thing with Jermaine Johnson. Again, I'm a Florida State fan. Jermaine Johnson was an animal at Florida State. All right?
Mm-hmm.
He is a very good defensive end. He's a very good pass rusher. He could set the edge. I just feel with the Achilles, I'm a little in question because I think he's going to draw the bigger compensation from the Jets. Do I think he could fit? Yes. If Salah targets him, I'm sold. But my little hesitation is that Achilles, because that's your push off.
Right.
And
didn't think about that.
It's the same thing for Jalen Phillips.
True.
He's ACL and Achilles guy. So that push off leg, that's a little scary. That's why I'm looking at the McDonald and pairing him back up with a Cleveland Farrell. Or you go McDonald, or you go Cleveland Farrell and pair him up with Arden Key. Pieces like that, right? Like they're one of their best trades this team ever made at the deadline was when they traded for Charles Omenihu from the Texans.
That was the name that I was looking for.
Charles Omenihu was nobody and just came in here and played lights out. I mean, not lights out, but helped this defense and get to the Super Bowl that year and played a very solid inside-outside combination. Right. So Now, you could get that essentially with Arden Key, but we already have that with Gross Matos and Mikael Williams. So that's why I'm catering towards more Will McDonald and then Cleveland Farrell and keep a rotation for your base and then your NASCAR package or your passing, your third and long situation. You have Gross Matos, you have Mikael Williams inside, you have Anthony Alfred Collins now who's playing well, who's getting pushed as an interior defensive tackle. You're going to have Huff back. You're going to have this guy back. So you have Gibson. You just want to add pieces right now to get you to that point, and then you go from there.
I feel like they have enough D tackles on the team with CJ West and Collins, and then with some of the other players that I can't. My brain with the newer crop of players that we brought in.
You have Kevin Givens back. This was his first week back.
That's another one. Yep.
He's more of a pass rusher than a run stuffer. So your run stuffers would be
Willie Collins,
Kalia Davis, whatever his name is, Kalia Davis.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have the kid they signed from Jesus God from Cleveland. This is where I'm starting to go because I'm tired.
I know they signed Malik. Is Malik Collins is still on the roster, correct?
Malik Collins isn't here no more. They traded him.
Who's
cut him.
Who is the guy? I cannot.
92. I forgot his damn name.
Elliott?
Yes, Jordan Elliott.
Jordan Elliott. There we go. Thanks, guys.
Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis. You have West. You have Collins. So you have these pieces, and Collins and West are starting to take that step.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from day one till now, I think West and Collins, you're seeing a difference in their play. Collins is taking a little bit more because West had the injury recently. He missed 2 games with the hand surgery. So Collins got it then. I think West got it quicker out of camp because
a good Collins point.
So you have that combination inside. Would you want to sign a run-stuffing defensive tackle? I mean, I think everybody would want it, but if you're able to stop the run with what you have currently, I would keep it in-house, keep rotating them, keep them fresh, and just keep developing this youth on this defense because it's only going to make this defense better going forward.
Yeah. You don't want to make it old suddenly by bringing in. That's why, like, some people were thinking about the Saints with, I think, Granderson. And I'm trying to think of the other guy from the Saints. He's been a really good pass rusher for years.
Cam Jordan.
I would love to have a Cam Jordan on this team, but he's a little old. He's a little long in the tooth. I thought the defense against the run yesterday proved that they can play well if they play together. Like, I was pleasantly shocked how good they played against the run. So to me, it's more of a it's more of a committing yourself to it type of thing. Because, they were going against probably the top running back in the National Football League right now, right? And Bijan Robinson. And what do you have, 40 yards rushing? That's amazing. He didn't do jack yesterday. Other than that little bit and the one touchdown, I mean, he was really a non-factor the whole game. So as much as I've been bullish on them not being able to stop the run, the fact that they were able to do it yesterday against an elite runner and against a team that runs the ball really well sold me that they can figure out a way with an in-house to figure out a way to stop the run. Edge, I'm starting to lean to you, like going maybe by committee, bring in more than one person in, because then you can kind of have a little bit of a rotation, which seems like, based on what they were doing yesterday with the way they were rushing the passer at the end of the game, I like having a constant flow of fresh bodies coming at the quarterback. Are all of them big names? No, they're just a bunch of dudes that if they sell out and what's the word I'm looking for? If they sell out in a, they buy in, which is what you got to do if you're going to be part of this roster, then, I'm not saying the Niners are going to make the Super Bowl this year. I just don't think, I think they're just, might not have enough bullets to get there. They might run out. But the fact that they're 5-2, and they have so many injuries to key players, mainly our top 2 defensive players. One player could be a Hall of Famer in the end, and Fred Warner. Both sides, I don't know about that, but he's really, really good too. So, I don't know the way Matt Maiocco made it sound when I was listening to the interview. It made it sound like it's not a foregone conclusion that they're going to do anything, but they have to do something. They can't stand idly by. But you know what's going to happen, Tony? They're not going to get Hendrickson, and everybody's going to pee in their pajamas and get really mad, and they're going to be like, "See, our front office is cheap. We're cheap. We never make the move," which is completely bullcrap. They've made a ton of moves in the past on Super Bowl years to try to make a move. I remember, didn't we bring in one time, we had Chase Young and Randy Gregory one year. I think it was that was a pretty good, and you mix that with Bosa, and that was a pretty, some of them are bigger names than they actually were players at that time, but like a combination like that, I would be okay with it. I'm not saying those two players, but that kind of thing. I just, I don't know. Do they have to win? Again in beat the Texans this week, and maybe they make a move after that game. I think they need to make a move right now, prior to this game, by losing Huff. I don't know about you.
I think they're going to bring somebody in, like I said, off the practice squad or a free agent like Cleveland Farrell. Tomorrow I'm going to get up and try to look at some of the practice squad, see if there's any like talented edge guys. I'm sure there's some out there. And then I think as it gets closer to the deadline, because listen, you don't want to like just jump and overpay. You don't know if there's any interest in these guys.
Yeah.
But you let the market set itself up. And then, of course you're going to be in contact, but I wouldn't jump. But I do expect them to add somebody at the deadline for this team. They do it every year. They've traded for somebody. Granted, last year's guy was a waste because he was cut, I think, 2 weeks later. But as far as what to expect, I definitely think they're going to add a piece. They're going to do one. I honestly think they'll do a trade, a claim off of a waiver, a practice squad, and maybe sign a street free agent. They have to. They're in a predicament right now where you're going into a game this week and you have healthy Gibson, Mikael Williams, and Samo.
Yep. And they have on the practice squad isn't looking too great either. I think I'm trying to think of who's on the practice squad.
They have Bradley King, who has shown flashes, but you can't you gotta have your ducks in line. You can't keep, you know what I'm saying? You gotta make it. You gotta make a move. I'm not saying, excuse my French, going balls to the wall. No. When this all started and they were talking about adding a pass rusher, there's a lot of people out there naming like Hendrickson, this guy, Bradley Chubb, Thibodeau from the Giants. One guy even said Everett Brown, the pass rusher from the Giants. I said, well, why would the Giants trade him?
I don't think Thibodeau's coming off the Giants either.
Just want to be the one to say it. So then I came out and I threw up a tweet and said, forget all those big names. Let's go after somebody like Cam Jordan, last year of his deal, a vet who's trying to get attached to a winner. Now, mind you, Bosa was still healthy, Mikael Williams was here, and Huff was healthy. So you were just adding a vet that was trying to make a push for an NFL guy, right? Look what the Niners did when they signed Ricky Jackson from the Saints.
Yep.
Literally on his ass. Not on his ass. He was still productive as a Niner. But he bet on himself. He bet on the Niners. He signed a 1-year vet minimum deal. And his bonus was $1 million if they made it to the Super Bowl. And they made it to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So that's what with that roster, with that situation, that's what you got to look at. Now it changes. I don't think Cam Jordan could come in and take that load and have that big expense. Cam Jordan could, but Granderson was a guy that I liked. But Granderson's issue is his contract structure. He's got 2 more years on it, and some of the numbers are a little crazy. And there's still some guarantees on that because what they keep doing is restructuring and pushing money down the road in New Orleans to get under the cap. So you got to be very, very careful with that deal if you do decide to go after him. And like I said, Cam Jordan was nothing because he was on the final year of his deal, so you could take him and run. So with that being said, I do expect them to make a trade. What I would do if I was in charge, I would identify a trade. I would identify a practice squad, sign somebody off a practice squad, and sign a street free agent. The street free agent would be put onto our practice squad. The claim would have to the practice squad player would have to go on the active as well as the trade guy, and then you go from there. You look at them, see what they do, and then you make your moves, right? So moves are going to be made. They have to be made. If it is going to be a massive, significant move,
I just don't see it. I don't see them making a big move. I feel like they're going to do what you said. They're going to make some smaller moves. Fans are, you know how it's going to get. People are going to be so dumb. This isn't freaking Madden. You can't just switch the salary cap to off and go and sign everybody. They have a plan how they want to build this roster, and one of the ways they're going to build this roster is through the draft. I think next year's draft is going to be just as important as this year's draft, offensive line and defensive line wise, especially with the whole situation with Trent Williams, possibly in his last year. You good over there, man?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I just had an itch on my leg.
I was like, is he okay? Is he passing out on me?
No, on my ankle. So I just been.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be anything really crazy. I want it to be something big, but it has to fit within the structure of the way they're building this team going forward.
Absolutely.
And that's where it stands with that. Real quick, talk about and then we'll get out of here. Any look ahead to next week against the Texans? I don't really know too much about the Texans, to be honest with you. I know that they have a bad offensive line. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that would mean something if we actually had players to rush the quarterback. But right now, I honestly don't know who we're going to suit up. I mean, it's that bad right now. So I have full faith in Kyle. I have full faith in Saleh and stuff, and even Lynch, that they'll figure something out. But man, I don't know. I think the Texans are a beatable team. As far as the Purdy injury, that's the other thing too. Purdy, I don't think, man, Kyle, the way he is with Kittle, or excuse me, with Purdy, and the way he is with Ayuk, there's so much misdirection, and like nobody knows nothing. We never have any more clarity than we did a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Every time they talk about it, it's literally kind of the same nothing burger. Purdy, there's quotes that saying, that he's close, but then there's a quote that saying that he's close would be a stretch. So there's two quotes that I saw. I'm like, okay, which one do I believe? And then as far as Ayuk, week 10, he's been at the facility. The other news is he hasn't been at the facility. He's taken everybody off social media. So right now, I don't know what to believe. I guess it'll just have to come down to when it actually happens. Do you think Ayuk makes it back to the squad for the end of the season, or are you still kind of iffy?
I think Ayuk will be back. I think they're waiting, and I think they're going to try to time everything out to – how do you say this? They're trying to get everybody on the same page that's currently playing right now. And then what they're going to do is they're going to slowly bring everything back together. I think they're going to sprinkle Ayuk in. And then once Ayuk gets sprinkled in, I think you're going to see Kittle become more heavily involved. And that's where you're going to see that offense just open up. Now, as far as Brock Purdy, that kid is not stepping on the field until that toe is 500% guaranteed healed.
Yep.
Because you saw what happened versus Jacksonville. They brought him back. That ball went sailing on him because he has no push off. It's his right toe. So when he's dropping back, he's got a set, he's got a hitch, and he's pushing off that back foot to make that throw. Lower velocity, higher throws, less spin on the ball, more lofting than he already does, and he throws like a lofty ball. As is, but it's I don't see him coming back until it is 100% healthy. And I don't know if they're going to be transparent with that, if they're going to be honest with us about that. I don't know, but he better not step on that field. Because one thing this team does is they tend to rush people back, and I don't like that.
They said something in the pregame yesterday that said that any movement in one direction could reset the whole timeline for the toe. That's what they said. And
100%.
I was just like, oh, because I saw a tweet from a certain individual whose last name rhymes with the college Baylor. And he said that it seems like they're just trying to make everybody return when Brock Purdy's ready to go, and they should just bring all these weapons back and let Mac Jones have at it with all the weapons. Like there's some sort of conspiracy. I kind of actually gave his thoughts some credence, and then I thought more about it, and I'm like, it's not a conspiracy, bro. What are we doing here? Like, stop. So I think Mac Jones, until he shows signs that he can't handle it, or if he keeps winning, bro, I don't see any reason to take him off the field. So, but yeah, we go to 5-2. We go to play the Texans next week. Have a chance to go 6-2. Maybe the Niners make a move this week. Maybe they don't. Maybe the Niners, make a move next week. I don't know. Everybody, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Tony, thanks for making time. I know you're tired as hell. We're going to get out of here, everybody. Everybody have a great rest of your week. I will see you next Monday, hopefully. I'll see you Friday with the Cover 3 podcast with Dre Area Sports and Sterling Bennett. Everyone, take care. Talk to you later. Go Niners. Peace.